Well, we are having fun today, folks. The road out there drifted in a little over a foot deep, all of it. You can see way down yonder. One neighbor's got a little cat skid loader with a snow blower. He's digging. When I got here, see if I can fall. When I got here, the county portion of our road, there were like 4 cars stuck there. We used a pickup truck to get those out, and then once we got them out, we had to wait on the county to send a plow to get through the worst of it up there on their part of the road. I think every neighbor with equipment is out with their equipment. I just got here and jumped in the case. There's a neighbor with a cat skid loader and a blower way down there. He dug all the way down the road so far. There's a neighbor up there with a Coyote tractor, and there's, well, the neighbor over there has another loader tractor that they're digging with too. So hopefully, you know what, with all of us out here and kind of the whole community pulling together, we'll get this sorted here before long. But running a loader one-handed is kind of a trick. So let's see. Yeah, running the loader one-handed ain't gonna get it done. So this is really my first opportunity to do any kind of an extended job with this loader. I've used it to move some round bales, I've used it as a forklift quite a bit, but I haven't really had a need to get in the machine and stay there for an hour or 2 or 3, and you know, I've certainly never really spent a whole workday running equipment. So a lot of what you're seeing here is just me trying to kind of figure this thing out, kind of sort out the most efficient way to run this thing, get used to the way it's going to handle, that sort of stuff. I am clearly not the most proficient loader operator. So for you guys that are, leave some tips down in the comments below. You know, not only can I learn from that and do better, but the other people that see this video and read the comments, you know, they can appreciate your input and your experience also. You know, the snow here in a lot of places isn't that bad. It's only like 4 or 6 inches deep, but you'll be going along and all of a sudden it'll be drifted 10 inches deep, a foot deep, even more than that in places, which is what makes this pretty treacherous, at least in the spring like this when the snow is heavy and wet and difficult to move. The loader's doing a really good job. The edge tamers are doing a really good job because this time of year it's still cold, but the ground is not frozen solid, and because all of the roads and driveways that we work on are gravel, we'd like to keep as much of that gravel as we can on the road and on the driveway. So having the edge tamers that keep the edge of the bucket up off of that about an inch, it makes a big difference. You can still pick up some dirt, you can still pick up some gravel. That's just a natural part of, you know, snow removal on dirt and gravel roads, but the edge tamers help a lot. They also keep your cutting edge wear really minimized. This bucket, I actually don't have a cutting edge on right now. The new one is ordered, I'm just waiting on it to show up. But with the edge tamers on there, I don't need it because they're keeping that edge up off the gravel. It's not being worn down, it's not being ground down, and it just does a really good job. So for you guys that need to clear snow on gravel roads, check out the edge tamers. This is not a sponsored video. This is not a, you know, they're not paying me to say any of this. I'm just bragging on a really good product that I've had really good luck with. So I found a 9-foot V-plow for a skid loader quick attach on the internet, and I sent the people a message about it. That would make this a lot easier. You know, as I'm driving along, I could just be rolling the snow off the side instead of having to fill up a bucket and dump. And then having the V-plow would be cool, so I could, you know, really bust through a drift. Instead of, you know, you'll get to that with a straight blade. If you angle it all the way to one side, it'll load up, and it can, in heavy snow, it'll try to shove the front of the machine over that way. But with a V-plow, it just freaking like centers it, and you know, it makes it a lot easier to break trail, so to speak. Little did I know we were about to spend a lot of time breaking trail on this road. With everybody's help, we got it cleaned up really, really nice Friday afternoon. And then the wind blew all night, and as you can see, everything we did got absolutely wiped out by the time we got up the next day. A neighbor called me. They had some friends coming out from town. The friends made it a decent little way down the road and then ran into this and just got stuck. Unfortunately, because of the condition of the road, nobody from our end could really get to them to pull them out. So the neighbor was trying to dig their way up there. I grabbed the case and I started digging with the neighbor. That worked okay for a few minutes, but realistically, two machines operating right on top of each other like that was not very efficient. So I ended up taking the case over into the grass where the snow wasn't quite as bad and going up to the top of the hill, because we had a pretty good distance we had to deal with. You know, there was certainly plenty of work to be done. So once I got up here, I was able to break a few other little drifts out of the way and kind of create a work area to get started. But as you can see, like, some of it is just not that bad. You can almost see the gravel, and then in other places, like behind any sort of an obstruction, it would get a couple of feet deep really, really fast. You know, it didn't take much at all. And the case had enough power here. If I had a V-plow on the front of it, I probably could have pushed through this, or at least pushed a whole lot more in one shot than I was able to do with the bucket. But the bucket did a really good job. You know, it's certainly better than having to be out here with a snow shovel or with nothing. Once I had a little bit of a work area cleared at the top of the hill and I wasn't as worried about getting the loader stuck, I turned around and started digging down the hill back towards Zach, you know, use gravity to help us get this done. If we could get a single path opened up, he could widen that out much, much more quickly than he could dig all the way through it going up. And the wind is still blowing while we're doing this, and a lot of what we're opening up is starting to close in right behind us. So being able to get it opened out really wide as we can makes a big difference. While we were working on that, some folks in an SUV had been trying to get out. They didn't know the road was as bad as it was. They saw my path up through the grass on the side of the hill, and they were able to get through that, and then they got back on the road, and, well, they got stuck. It happened a lot. And once they got stuck, unfortunately, you know, I just had to dig my way to them, which took a couple of minutes to do, because like you can see here, in some places there's very little snow, and then you'll get to a drift that's like 2 feet deep and you got to bust through it. This is where a V-plow would be awesome, because in these sections where there's 4, 6, 8 inches of snow even, I could just drive straight through it, throw the snow off to either side, and it would be out of our way, out of our hair, and I'm always going forward instead of kind of this forward back that we're doing here. Now, I certainly could have been a little bit more efficient about this, but again, I'm kind of new to running this loader. So this was a great practice opportunity, a great learning experience for me. Being able to push forward and dump made more sense than being able to push forward, then load up, then back out. Once I got to the car, we dug around it a little bit and kind of gave ourselves somewhere to go, and then use that D-ring on the bucket to pull it out just nice and easy and gentle. And this is exactly why I wanted to put that D-ring on the bucket, because if not for that, there really wasn't a good place to attach anything to the front of this machine to pull them out with. Once I started going down this hill, kind of out of the worst of the wind, the snow got a little bit better. It wasn't drifted quite as badly, and I was able to push straight through a whole lot more of it, even if the loader did get a little bit squirrely here and there, which is one thing I absolutely love about this loader. You know, I'm not running tire chains. I'm not running winter tires. These are just standard
industrial tires, but between the weight of the machine and the ground clearance, especially compared to something like a skid steer, this thing did a really, really great job. Now, I am in no way knocking a skid steer. You can't see it right now, but the neighbor we saw earlier with the little cat and the snowblower, he's actually snowblowing his way down to the other vehicle that is stuck and buried in the road further up around the corner there. And that left us free to just kind of work our way through this stuff. Once we had a passable route all the way out to the main road, it was time to go back, and you can see what I just cleared has already blown back in and filled back in enough that this is, I mean, I'm getting some serious snow out of this, and it hasn't been more than probably an hour since we dug it out the first time, which is why it's so critical that we try to open this up really wide, because anything on the wind side of the road, where the direction the wind comes from, just creates drifting, whether it's an obstacle like a dumpster or a trash can, or whether it's, you know, a ditch between snowbanks like we had after we just plowed out that first pass. It collects a lot of snow, but fortunately by this point the wind was starting to die down a little bit. The snow was not really melting aggressively, but getting a little heavier, getting a little bit slushier, and a little less prone to blowing. Either way, I tried to put a bunch of it over on the side of the road that was opposite the wind, basically, so that as the wind blew, it didn't all blow right back in. But it got to the point you just needed to push it back a little bit, even if it stayed on the heavy wind side. As it's getting slushy and heavy, we don't want it all to just melt and run right down the middle of the gravel road, because that just creates more work for us to do fixing that in the summer when the snow is actually gone. So that's why we're just kind of piling it up over here, because we do still have a little bit of a drifting concern that we want to prevent. Well, folks, I guess you can call this kind of a sneak preview of the next upcoming video. The bucket did a really great job and was vastly better than nothing, but man, a V-plow is just a whole other world from a bucket. Unfortunately, this is a Bobcat plow on a Case machine, and despite everything being skid steer quick attach, that doesn't mean all these attachments want to play nicely with all this equipment. So this has been quite the project that you're going to see coming up real soon. For now, you can see most of our snow is gone. What isn't gone is really heavy, really frozen. I've been playing with the plow a little bit, and it does not do well in this snow, but that's okay. This is not what it's for. It also doesn't work right yet, but again, that'll be the next video. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching, and more later.